Hello, dear listeners. Before we begin, please write in the comments where you're listening from. And if you enjoy stories of justice, betrayal, and the kind of comeback that makes your heart race, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps these stories travel farther than you can imagine. Now take a deep breath, because this story begins with a woman pounding on tinted glass, tears sliding down her cheeks, locked inside a luxury sedan like an unwanted object, while hundreds of people inside a glittering ballroom laughed and toasted without her. And just when she believed her life was over, the old driver turned around and said something that didn't just change her night. It changed her entire life. But to understand how a simple music teacher ended up trapped between humiliation and power, we need to go back exactly 1 hour earlier. The Grand Ballroom of the St. Regis Grand was the kind of place most people only saw in magazines. Crystal chandeliers hung like frozen waterfalls above the crowd, throwing light across polished marble floors. Every table was dressed in linen so white it looked untouched by human hands. Silver cutlery gleamed. Fine china sat perfectly aligned. Towers of gourmet desserts rose like art displays, and the air itself felt expensive. Perfume, champagne, rare flowers, and the faint scent of money. This wasn't just a party, this was a performance. Atlanta's elite filled the ballroom in tailored suits and designer gowns, moving in clusters like flocks of birds that somehow knew exactly where they belonged. Their laughter wasn't loud, it was controlled, polished, the kind that says, "We are safe here. We are important. We are untouchable." At the center of all of it was Patricia Thorne. Patricia sat like a queen. Her gown was deep burgundy velvet, hugging her figure with the confidence of a woman who believed the world owed her admiration. A diamond necklace rested at her throat like a crown turned sideways. Her hair was styled into a perfect wave that didn't dare fall out of place. Her lips wore a smile that looked gentle from far away, but up close it was sharp. Tonight was her 65th birthday celebration, and Patricia was in her element. She didn't just want guests. She wanted worship. Every person here, business owners, politicians, charity leaders, executives, had come to pay respects, to be seen, to be counted among the right people. Patricia Thorne was the kind of woman who collected influence the way others collected jewelry. And yet, despite all this luxury, despite the glittering crystal and soft music and champagne bubbles, there was one woman standing near a column who looked like she didn't belong in the room at all. Serena Hawthorne. She stood still, as if the smallest movement might draw attention. Her hands kept smoothing the edge of her dress, not because it was wrinkled, but because her fingers needed something to do to stop shaking. The dress itself was modest, beige, simple, neat, and the truth was Serena had made it herself. She had spent 3 nights at her sewing machine, stitching and re-stitching, adjusting the hem, pulling out threads, fixing seams, working until her eyes burned. She told herself it was practical. She told herself she was being responsible. But deep down, she knew why she had done it. Because Marcus always said the company was tight on cash. Because Marcus always asked her not to spend. Because Marcus had trained her to feel guilty for needing anything. Serena was 36 years old. She was a music teacher. A choir director. The kind of woman children trusted instantly. The kind of woman parents thanked for shaping their kids into something brighter. And yet, standing in this ballroom, Serena felt like a child herself, small, unsure, painfully aware of how different she looked from everyone else. Around her were the wives of Marcus's business partners, draped in designer gowns and dripping with diamonds, their arms decorated with bracelets worth more than Serena's entire yearly salary. Their hair shone. Their makeup was flawless. Their smiles were practiced. Serena's dress wasn't ugly, but next to them it felt invisible. And invisibility didn't protect her. It only made her easier to overlook. Serena's eyes scanned the room again, searching for the one person who was supposed to be her anchor, her husband, Marcus Thorne. He was easy to spot. Marcus stood tall, moving like he owned the space even though it technically belonged to his mother tonight. His tuxedo was perfectly tailored, crisp, expensive, and his posture screamed confidence. He laughed easily, shook hands firmly, clapped men on the shoulder, leaned in to listen as if every powerful person was telling him secrets. Marcus loved attention the way some people loved oxygen, and for him, this evening wasn't just a birthday party, it was a showcase, it was proof. Proof that he had made it, proof that he belonged, proof that the poor background he always blamed Serena for was something he had escaped. Serena watched him smile at a group of businessmen And for a moment she almost smiled too, because she remembered the beginning. She remembered the man Marcus had pretended to be. 10 years ago, when Serena met him, he wasn't this cold, polished executive. He had seemed charming, caring, attentive. He had noticed her, a music teacher from a quiet background, a woman who didn't chase money or status. He had bought her flowers. He had called her voice soft and beautiful. He had told her he admired how she lived simply, how she didn't care about shallow things. Serena had believed him. She had believed she was loved. She had believed she had been chosen. And for years, she had carried that belief like a fragile glass ornament. Carefully, desperately, because without it, she would have had to face something terrifying, that her marriage might not be real, that her love might have been one-sided, that she might have been nothing but a convenience. Serena swallowed and forced herself to breathe slowly. It's just one night, she told herself, one party. Just get through it. She checked her reflection in the dark window behind the column. Her hair was neatly pinned. Her makeup was light. She didn't look messy. Still, a familiar fear pressed into her chest. Marcus cared about appearances more than he cared about anything else, and Serena, no matter how hard she tried, always seemed to fall short of what he wanted her to be. She was thinking that when Marcus suddenly turned his head, his eyes landed on her. For 1 second, his expression went flat, then a frown tightened his face. Serena's stomach dropped before he even moved. Marcus strode toward her quickly, his smile already reshaping itself for passing guests like a mask snapping into place. When he reached her, his fingers clamped around her elbow. Pain shot through Serena's arm. He leaned close, and his voice was a hiss that only she could hear. "Why are you standing here like some poor relative?" Serena blinked. "I was just. Get over to the main table." Marcus cut her off sharply, his mouth smiling while his eyes stayed hard. "Mom's about to give her toast. And for God's sake, stop slouching." Serena straightened instantly. "You're the CEO's wife," he continued, squeezing her elbow a little tighter. "Not a mouse from the cellar." Then he released her like she was something unpleasant he had briefly touched. And just like that, Marcus turned away, greeting a guest as if the last 10 seconds hadn't happened. Serena stood frozen, her elbow aching. No one around them noticed anything. Or worse, maybe they noticed and didn't care. Because here, cruelty delivered quietly was considered normal. Serena swallowed the embarrassment, nodded to herself, and walked toward the main table. As she approached, she passed a waiter carrying champagne flutes. She took one, mostly to give her hands something to hold, something to do besides tremble. She looked toward Patricia. Patricia was holding court like royalty. People leaned in as she spoke, laughing at her comments, complimenting her, praising her charity work, her taste, her strength. Patricia accepted it all with an expression that said yes, of course. "Continue." Serena took a breath. Etiquette required her to congratulate her mother-in-law. Even though Patricia had never once treated Serena like family. Even though Patricia's kindness had always been conditional, sharp, edged, and paired with subtle insults. Still, Serena wanted to do the right thing. She stepped forward. "Patricia?" Serena began, soft and careful. "Happy birthday." Patricia spun around abruptly. Not smoothly, not gently, deliberately. As if Serena hadn't been there at all. Her heavy elbow slammed into Serena's arm. The impact made Serena's fingers jerk. The champagne flute slipped. Time slowed. Glass fell, caught the chandelier light, and shattered on the polished floor with a sound so sharp it cut through the entire room. Crash. Conversation stopped. The music halted mid-note. Heads turned like a wave. Champagne spread across the floor, amber against marble, and a few droplets splashed the hem of Patricia's burgundy gown. A deathly silence fell. Hundreds of eyes focused on Serena. For one terrible second, Serena couldn't breathe. Heat rushed up her neck into her face. Her cheeks burned. Her mind screamed, "This wasn't my fault," but she knew how this worked. In rooms like this, truth didn't matter. Only perception did. Patricia sighed loudly, dramatically, letting the moment stretch so everyone could enjoy Serena's humiliation. "Oh, for heaven's sake," Patricia said, brushing at her dress as if the champagne stain were catastrophic, even though it was barely visible. "Well, of course." She turned her head slightly, letting her voice carry across the room. "What else could I expect?" Serena's lips parted. "I'm sorry but Marcus was already there." He moved fast, as if his ego had been physically injured. His face was blotched red, not with embarrassment for Serena, but with fury that his perfect image had cracked. He didn't ask what happened. He didn't check if Serena was okay. He didn't offer her a napkin. Instead, he exploded. "What the hell are you doing?" Marcus roared loud enough to make Serena's ears ring. Serena flinched. The room stayed silent, feeding off the drama. Marcus stepped closer, eyes blazing. "Are your hands made of stone?" he shouted. "Did you intentionally try to ruin my mother's party?" "Marcus." Serena tried, voice shaking. "She bumped me." "Shut up!" he barked. The word echoed like a slap. "Stop making excuses," Marcus continued, his voice rising. "Look at you. You're a drab little mouse. All you know how to do is embarrass me." Serena's vision blurred. She could feel tears threatening. Marcus didn't care. "I dragged you out of the hood," he snarled, "and you can't even hold a champagne glass." Serena's mouth opened again, but no words came out. Marcus grabbed her arm hard enough to make her gasp. He didn't guide her. He yanked her. And he dragged her away from the table, right through the center of the ballroom. Serena stumbled in heels, struggling to keep up. "Marcus, you're hurting me," she whispered desperately. "People are watching." Marcus's mouth twisted. "Let them watch," he shouted, enjoying the power in his own voice. "Let them see who I have to live with." Serena's humiliation grew heavier with every step. Her head buzzed. She could hear whispers beginning, sharp like needles. Marcus marched her toward the massive exit doors. Then, right at the entrance, he stopped. He turned back to the crowd as if presenting evidence. "Your appearance disgraces my family," he screamed across the ballroom. Serena froze. The sentence hit her like a punch. Then Marcus barked, "Security!" 2 guards in black suits moved instantly, like machines programmed to obey. Marcus shoved Serena's arm toward them. "Get this thing out of here," he ordered. Serena's breath caught at the word thing. "Shove her into the car," Marcus continued, voice cold now. "Let her sit there like a punished dog until I decide what to do with her." Serena's eyes widened. "Marcus, please." "And lock the doors," he added with disgust, "so she can't stick her nose out." The guards didn't hesitate. They took Serena by both arms. She didn't resist. Shock had turned her bones to stone. Marcus turned back toward the ballroom, smoothing his jacket as he walked, as if he had just fixed a minor inconvenience. Behind him, there was sparse applause. Not loud, not enthusiastic, but approving. Serena felt like her soul had been stripped bare. The guards led her outside into the cool night air. The sudden chill hit her face like reality. A black executive sedan waited at the curb. One guard opened the back door, and without gentleness, without dignity, without care, they shoved Serena inside. Leather seat cold, luxury that felt like a cage. The door slammed. A heavy final sound, then CLISK central lock engaged. Serena was alone in semi-darkness, surrounded by quiet wealth. She pressed her face against the tinted glass. Through it, she could see the ballroom windows glowing warm and bright. The party continued. Music resumed. Laughter returned. As if she had never existed, Serena's chest tightened. Hysteria came in a wave. She began pounding on the door panel, then on the window, her fists leaving faint marks. "Let me out!" she screamed, voice breaking. "Let me out!" But the car was soundproof. No one could hear her. She slammed her palms against the tinted glass again and again. Tears poured down her face. "I want to go home," she sobbed. "Marcus, please." Her mascara smeared across her cheeks. She looked like a woman drowning behind glass. Her humiliation felt complete, so total she wanted to disappear, to dissolve, to stop existing. How could she face anyone tomorrow? How could she return to that house? How could she stand next to Marcus again after this? She leaned back, breathing fast, trembling. And that's when she noticed something that made her freeze. She wasn't alone. In the driver's seat, someone sat perfectly still, an older man, a familiar silhouette. Serena blinked, wiping tears with the back of her hand. It was Mr. James, the Thorne family's longtime driver. He had worked for them even before Marcus became a high-powered executive. He was always silent, invisible, like a shadow. Marcus often insulted him, calling him an old relic, but never fired him because Mr. James knew the city better than any GPS. Serena's voice broke. "Mr. James?" she whispered. "Please open the door. I'll take a bus. Please." Mr. James didn't respond immediately. Instead, he slowly turned off the engine. A deep silence fell over the cabin. Only Serena's shaky breaths and quiet sobs filled the space. Then Mr. James lifted his eyes to the rearview mirror and met Serena's gaze. But it wasn't the same look she was used to. No pity, no submissiveness, no fear. His eyes held something hard, resolute, like a man who had waited a long time for this moment. "Serena," he said, and his voice was unexpectedly firm. "Stop." Serena's sobs caught in her throat. Mr. James continued, calm and controlled. Tears won't help, and they'll only hurt your cause. Serena stared at him, stunned by the tone. Mr. James, what are you? No bus. He cut her off. We're not going anywhere until you know the truth. Serena's heart hammered. Mr. James began to turn in his seat, just enough to face her. And then he said the sentence that would destroy everything Serena thought she knew about her life. Your husband believes your father is a nobody. But your father is not a nobody. Serena's breath caught. Mr. James's voice stayed steady, like a judge reading a verdict. Your father has finalized the paperwork. Serena's lips trembled. What paperwork? Mr. James looked at her through the mirror. This car, he said quietly, the security detail outside and the entire company. Serena's eyes widened. Are now yours. Serena's mind went blank. Mr. James held her gaze. I'm awaiting your instructions, he said. What should we do with your husband? Serena couldn't speak, because in that moment, she realized the glass she had been pounding on wasn't just a window. It was the barrier between the life she had lived and the life that was about to begin. For several long seconds, Serena couldn't speak. Her heart was beating so loudly she was sure Mr. James could hear it through the thick leather seats. The words he had just spoken didn't register as sentences. They felt more like sounds. Heavy, unreal, crashing into her mind without meaning. This car, the security, the entire company are now yours. Serena blinked slowly, as if waking from a nightmare that refused to release her. What are you saying? She whispered. James did not turn away. His eyes remained fixed on hers in the rearview mirror, steady and unblinking. I'm saying, he replied calmly, that everything Marcus Thorne believes he owns belongs to you. Serena shook her head weakly. No, she said, her voice trembling. That's not possible. Marcus is the CEO. Everyone knows that. He built the company. Hey, he managed it. Mr. James corrected. He never owned it. The words hit Serena harder than Marcus's grip had earlier that night. But my father, Serena murmured. My father lives on a farm. He barely uses a phone, Marcus said. Marcus said many things. Mr. James interrupted quietly. Most of them were lies designed to keep you small. Serena swallowed. The silence inside the car grew heavier, pressing against her chest. Outside, the ballroom windows still glowed warmly. Laughter drifted faintly through the glass, distorted and distant, like a memory from another life. Mr. James reached into the inner pocket of his jacket. Serena flinched slightly, unsure why. Her nerves were raw, stretched thin by humiliation and shock. But instead of pulling out anything threatening, he produced a sleek tablet and held it backward over the seat. Take this, he said. Serena hesitated before accepting it. Her fingers were cold as they closed around the smooth surface. The screen was already on. At first, the text blurred in front of her eyes. Legal language, headers, official seals. Her breathing became shallow. Mr. James leaned back slightly, allowing her time. Look at the highlighted line, he said. Serena's eyes followed his finger, and then she saw it. Owner of Thorne Group of Companies Hawthorne, Serena B. her name. Her full name, not Marcus, not Patricia. The world seemed to tilt. Serena felt lightheaded, as if gravity itself had shifted. That must be a mistake, she whispered. A glitch. Marcus is the owner. Everyone knows that. Mr. James's lips curved into something that was not quite a smile. Everyone knows what Marcus wanted them to know, he replied. That was the illusion. Serena stared at the screen again, hoping the words would rearrange themselves into something less impossible. They didn't. But how? She asked hoarsely. Why would my father? Because your father is not who Marcus told you he was, Mr. James said. He adjusted his posture, settling deeper into the driver's seat, as if preparing to tell a long story he had been holding back for years. Fletcher Bloit is not a drunk failure, he continued evenly. He is not broke, and he certainly did not disappear from your life out of shame. Serena's chest tightened. Then why did he stop writing to me, she asked. Why did he never visit? Why did he let Marcus treat me like this? Mr. James did not answer immediately. Instead, he unlocked the tablet and opened another document. This morning, he said, your father activated what is known as a blind trust transfer protocol. Serena frowned. I don't understand. That's all right, Mr. James replied gently. You were never meant to. That was the point. He turned slightly so he could look at her directly now, no longer using the mirror. 10 years ago, he began. Your father founded the Thorn Group using seed capital that was never publicly traced to him. The company was designed from the beginning to look like Marcus's success story. Serena's stomach churned. Why would he do that? To test him. The words echoed in the quiet cabin. To test my husband? Serena asked. Yes, Mr. James said. To see what kind of man would marry his daughter if he believed she brought nothing to the table. Serena let out a shaky breath. No, Marcus loved me. At least at first. He was kind, he was attentive. Mr. James's gaze softened, but he did not agree. Marcus was careful, he said instead. There is a difference. He reached back and tapped the tablet again, opening another file. This was the original management contract, he explained. Marcus Thorne was hired as a managing executive for a fixed term of 10 years. Serena leaned forward, her eyes scanning the screen. The dates jumped out at her immediately. Start date. End date. Her breath caught. Yesterday's date. His contract expired at midnight, Mr. James said quietly. 12 hours ago. Serena's fingers tightened around the tablet. And ownership? She asked. Mr. James pointed to a clause. Ownership was never his to begin with, he replied. He was promised control only if he fulfilled every condition. Serena read the line twice, then a third time. Her heart began to race. One condition stood out clearly above the rest. 10 years of continuous marriage to Serena B. Hawthorne. Serena's throat closed. That's why, she whispered. That's why he waited. Mr. James nodded. He tolerated the marriage, he said. He played the role. But the moment the contract expired, he believed he was free. Serena's hands began to shake. But he humiliated me tonight, she said slowly. After midnight? Yes, Mr. James replied, because he believed he no longer needed you. The words sliced through her. Memories flooded her mind all at once. Marcus's impatience, his obsession with appearances, his constant reminders that she contributed nothing, the way his mother treated her like an inconvenience instead of family, the way Marcus never defended her. Because she wasn't a wife to him, she was a clause. And the divorce papers? Serena asked quietly. Mr. James nodded once and opened another document. Serena felt her stomach drop as she recognized the format instantly. Legal letterhead. Her name. Marcus's signature. The papers were prepared last week, Mr. James said. He intended to serve them to you tomorrow morning. Serena scanned the text, her vision blurring. Spouse claims no assets. No contribution to marital estate. No support. She let out a broken laugh. No contribution, she repeated softly. 10 years of my life and I contributed nothing. James's jaw tightened. He planned to remove you from the apartment tomorrow, he continued. Security was already instructed. You were meant to leave with one suitcase. Serena closed her eyes. The humiliation of the ballroom suddenly made sense. This wasn't anger. This was disposal. He wasn't punishing her. He was erasing her. A strange stillness settled over Serena. The pain was still there, but something else was rising beneath it. Something colder. Something sharper. She opened her eyes. And now? She asked. Mr. James studied her face carefully. Now, he said, you decide. Serena looked down at the tablet again. Owner Serena B. Hawthorne. The words no longer felt unreal. They felt heavy, real. Dangerous. She glanced toward the ballroom windows again, imagining Marcus laughing, drinking, basking in admiration, completely unaware that the ground beneath him had already collapsed. What about the security? She asked. They work for the company, Mr. James replied, and the company works for you. Serena inhaled slowly. What about this car? Company asset, he said simply. And you? She asked. Mr. James met her gaze without hesitation. I work for the owner, he said. Serena's pulse quickened. For 10 years she had been trained to shrink, to apologize, to step aside, to absorb humiliation quietly. And now, suddenly, the world was asking her to step forward instead. She straightened her back. Unlock the doors, she said. Mr. James did not move immediately. Are you sure? He asked. Serena nodded. Yes. He pressed a button. The locks disengaged with a soft click. James reached into the glove compartment and handed her a thick envelope. Your father asked me to give you this, he said. Emergency cash from the reserve fund. Serena took it, feeling its weight. She opened the door. The cool night air wrapped around her like a challenge. She stepped out of the sedan and stood upright. The dress she had been ashamed of moments earlier now felt different. It wasn't poor, it wasn't small, it was practical, unpretentious, honest. She smoothed it down calmly at the entrance. The same 2 security guards stood watch, the men who had shoved her into the car minutes ago. One of them raised a hand. "Ma'am," he began, uncertain. "We were instructed." "I'm certain." James stepped up beside her and cleared his throat. It was a small sound, but the effect was immediate. The guard froze. A flicker of recognition passed through his eyes. He glanced at Mr. James. Then he stepped aside. The second guard followed without a word. The heavy oak doors opened. Serena walked back into the ballroom. At first, no one noticed. Music played. Glasses clinked. Laughter continued. But then the silence began to spread, like ripples in water, from the entrance, across the floor, until the musicians faltered and stopped. Marcus was standing at the center of a group. He turned mid-sentence and saw her. His smile vanished. Color drained from his face. "What is she doing here?" he hissed, breaking away from the group and striding toward her. "I told you to lock her in the car." Serena didn't answer. She walked past him as if he were invisible, straight toward the stage. "Have you completely lost your mind?" Marcus whispered harshly, grabbing for her arm again. This time, Serena didn't flinch. She didn't stop. "Security!" Marcus barked. "Get her out of here!" 2 guards entered the room. But they didn't move toward Serena. They stood still, arms crossed, watching Marcus. Serena climbed the small steps to the stage and took the microphone. The sound system crackled softly. "Good evening," she said, her voice calm but amplified, echoing through the ballroom. "I apologize for interrupting the celebration." The room held its breath. "I need to make an important announcement." Marcus laughed nervously. "Everyone, please excuse my wife," he said loudly. "She's not feeling well." Serena didn't look at him. Serena B. Hawthorne," she continued, the sole owner of the Thorne Group of companies. A murmur swept through the crowd. Marcus's laugh faltered. "This is a joke," he said sharply. "You're embarrassing yourself." Serena went on. "Due to confirmed misuse of company funds," she said, "this event is being terminated immediately." Marcus lunged toward the stage. "You're insane," he shouted. "Security, stop her." The guards stepped forward and blocked him. "Mr. Thorne," one of them said evenly, "please step away from the stage." Marcus froze. "What?" he snapped. "Do you know who I am?" "Less," the guard replied. "You're no longer in charge." The room erupted into whispers. Serena raised the microphone again. "I've also been informed," she added calmly, "that the staff here has not been paid for 3 months. She reached into the envelope and removed a thick stack of cash. "This covers the outstanding wages," she said, handing it to the head waiter, "plus a bonus for tonight." The waiter stared at the money, stunned, then nodded. The staff began distributing the cash openly, right there, in front of everyone. That was when the crowd turned. Whispers became judgment. Admiration shifted. Marcus stood alone, exposed, sweating, and Serena felt something she hadn't felt in years: balance. "And now," she said, lowering the microphone, "the banquet is over." The guests began to leave, silently, avoiding Marcus's eyes. As the ballroom emptied, Marcus stood frozen. His empire had collapsed in under 10 minutes. Serena stepped down from the stage. Mr. James appeared at her side. "Well done," he said quietly. Serena exhaled slowly. "This isn't over," she replied. "No," Mr. James agreed. "It's just beginning." And somewhere deep inside Serena, a voice she had ignored for 10 years finally spoke clearly. "You are no longer small." Marcus Thorne stood in the center of the ballroom long after the last guest had left. The chandeliers were still lit, but the room felt hollow now. Empty glasses sat abandoned on tables. Chairs were half pushed back. The echo of footsteps faded down the marble hallway, carrying with them the death of Marcus's reputation. For the first time in years, Marcus was alone. He wiped his face with the back of his hand. His skin was slick with sweat, but the cold knot in his stomach wouldn't loosen. This wasn't real. It couldn't be. Serena had embarrassed herself, that was all. Some ridiculous stunt, a mistake in paperwork, a misunderstanding that would be corrected the moment lawyers became involved. Marcus had built this company. He had lived it, bled for it. He had sacrificed everything for it, including his useless wife. This would be fixed. It always was. He straightened his jacket, lifted his chin, and walked out of the ballroom like a man who still believed he was in control. The motel room smelled of disinfectant and stale carpet. Marcus barely noticed. He had slept for maybe an hour. A shallow, restless sleep filled with fragments of Serena's calm voice and the guards refusing to obey him. By sunrise, rage had burned away the fog in his head. He sat on the edge of the bed, rubbing his temples. "I'll go to the office," he told himself. I'll see the documents. I'll call the lawyers. This will end today. He showered quickly, put on yesterday's suit, and left without looking back. At exactly 8:00 a.m., Marcus Thorne arrived at the Thorne Group headquarters. The glass tower rose before him like it always had, tall, imposing, familiar home. He walked through the revolving doors with the confidence of a man who believed the world still owed him obedience. At the security turnstile, Marcus pulled out his magnetic keycard. He swiped it. Beep. Red light. Marcus frowned and swiped again. Beep. Denied. What the hell? He muttered. He swiped harder this time, as if force could fix it. Denied. Lena. Marcus shouted toward the reception desk. Your system is down. Lena looked up slowly. Normally, she would have jumped to her feet, apologizing, scrambling to help. Today, she stayed seated. Her face was pale. Mr. Thorne, she said quietly, your access has been deactivated. Marcus laughed sharply. Deactivated by whom? He snapped. I'm the CEO. I know, Lena whispered. But the directive is posted. She pointed to the notice board in the lobby. Marcus stormed toward it. A fresh document hung there, stamped in officie I know. One, removal of CEO Marcus Thorne, reason loss of trust and expiration of contract term effective immediately. At the bottom was a signature. Large, confident SB. Hawthorne. Marcus ripped the paper off the board and crushed it in his fist. This is a forgery, he shouted, his voice echoing through the lobby. You'll all be out of a job. I'm calling the police. The security guard at the entrance shifted his stance, resting a hand near his baton. Marcus felt something twist inside him. Not fear. Disbelief. You think you can lock me out of my own company? Marcus snarled. No one answered. Marcus spun around and stormed out of the building, nearly slamming into the revolving door. Outside, the morning air was sharp and unforgiving. His plan adjusted instantly. The house. The original documents were there. The safe. Serena would sign, she always did. 20 minutes later, Marcus's car screeched to a halt in front of the iron gates of their suburban estate. He jumped out and punched in the security code. Nothing happened. He tried again. Still nothing. Marcus slammed his fist against the keypad. Serena, he shouted. Open the gate. Silence. He pressed the buzzer, no response. Marcus grabbed the gate and rattled it violently. Serena, I know you're in there. A voice came from next door. Marcus. What's going on? The neighbor, a retired colonel, stood at the fence, hose in hand. Marcus rounded on him. She changed the locks. Marcus shouted. This is my house! The colonel frowned. She asked not to be disturbed. Marcus laughed, sharp, ugly. Asked. He screamed. She's nothing without me. He bent down, picked up a stone, and hurled it at a first-floor window. The glass cracked, spider, webbing outward but not shattering. The colonel's expression hardened. I'm calling the police for vandalism, he said. Call them, Marcus roared. Let them come? Upstairs, Serena stood by the window. Her heart pounded as she watched Marcus rage at the gate below. Yesterday, even an hour ago, she would have rushed downstairs, apologizing, trying to calm him. The habit of obedience ran deep. Has still my husband, she said quietly, not turning away. Behind her, Mr. James sat at the kitchen table, calmly sipping tea. No, he replied. He's a man who already decided to throw you away. Serena swallowed. Mr. James stood and placed a small cardboard box on the windowsill. I retrieved this from his office safe this morning, he said. The guards let me in. Serena turned. Inside the box were folders. Thick, heavy. Truth. She opened the first one. Photographs spilled out. Her childhood home. Her father working in the garden. Herself walking home from music school. Each photo dated, stamped. The earliest one was 6 months before she met Marcus. He was watching us, she whispered. Studying, Mr. James corrected. Beneath the photos lay a contract, gold embossing. Legal language. Serena read, and read again. The truth hit her like ice water. Marriage requirement. 10 years. Divorce initiated by Marcus before term results in total forfeiture. Yesterday had been the exact anniversary of their wedding. He waited? Serena said hollowly. Yes, Mr. James replied. He endured you for 10 years because he had to. The next folder contained emails. Marcus to his lawyer. Prepare divorce papers. Throw her out. Make sure she gets nothing. From the street below came the wail of a siren. Police. Marcus fell silent. Serena closed the folder. Something inside her snapped cleanly. Call the police, she said to Mr. James. Tell them we won't file a complaint. Mr. James raised an eyebrow. You want mercy? No, Serena said calmly. Let him walk. She looked down at Marcus being restrained by officers. I want him free when I take everything else. She opened the next folder. Patricia Thorne's condo. Now, Serena said quietly, we deal with his mother. The front door rattled violently. A key turned. The door flew open. I know you're in here! Patricia Thorne's shrill voice echoed through the house. Heavy footsteps thundered up the stairs. Patricia burst into the living room, still wearing her wrinkled burgundy gown, makeup smeared, eyes wild. You! She screamed, rushing toward Serena. Her hand flew up. Before Serena could think, before she could flinch, she caught it, firmly. Patricia gasped in shock. Don't, Serena said quietly, ever. She pushed Patricia's hand away. Patricia staggered. You think you can speak to me like that? She shrieked. I'll crush you. Serena walked to the table and opened the folder. You don't own your condo anymore, Serena said calmly. Patricia laughed hysterically. That's absurd. Serena slid the mortgage agreement across the table. Patricia's laughter died. What is this? A loan, Serena replied. Taken against your condo, defaulted last week. Patricia's face drained of color. Serena placed the eviction notice down gently. You have 24 hours. Patricia collapsed into a chair, then suddenly screamed. If you had died sooner, none of this would have happened. Serena stiffened. You knew about the contract, Serena said. Patricia laughed bitterly. Of course I knew. She leaned forward, eyes blazing. And the letters? Patricia sneered. Your father wrote every month. Serena's world tilted. I intercepted them? Patricia continued. And I wrote back pretending to be you. Serena couldn't breathe. The truth slammed into her chest. 10 years of loneliness. 10 years of believing she'd been abandoned. You're a monster, Serena whispered. Patricia smirked. I'm a mother who wanted the best. Mr. James stepped forward. Serena raised a hand. No. Let her pack. She turned back to Patricia. If I don't find those letters tomorrow, Serena said softly, you'll lose not just your home, but your freedom. But Patricia fled. The door slammed. Serena sank onto the sofa. He never stopped loving me, she whispered. Mr. James placed a hand on her shoulder. He never did. Serena stood suddenly. Take me to the office, she said. I want to see everything. As they drove, Marcus knocked on another door across town. A blonde woman answered. Marcus. Plans changed. He lied. I need to stay here, she frowned. I need money tomorrow. Marcus waved her off, but fear was already working its way through her, and she would soon make her own move.